Hello there. For this tutorial I'm gonna create forms basically I will introduce you to forms in Symfony. Forms is a very complex subject, and therefore I decided to split this tutorial to 3 or 4 sections. First of all, the forms, you can create the forms directly from the twig, or you can create the form in the controller, or you can create it in the form type by itself. The best method is to create the form type because the code will be reusable and you will have all the security features with it. And the controller is not bad, but it will restrict you. It will be restricted. The code will be only relevant to that particular controller. And if you use the twig the same. It's the worst part of it because you will lose on the security features with the form components. So basically, this is not the best method, but this is the method that most PHP and HTML developers will be familiar with. So let's create the basic page. And if you remember from the previous from one of the videos I created before, is creating pages in Symfony. We created 2 pages. One we called it the home, and the other we called it contact. I will use the contact page, which is, you can find it here. And this is the controller, contact action and home action. And this is the twig for it. So I will go directly to the twig. Pages, contact. Now the twig is empty. This is the title part for the URL, not for the page. Contact, and this is the part for the page header, basically. Contact us. This will appear in the body of the document. And now we create the form. You can enclose the form in div if you want for extra CSS or whatever you want to apply to it. But for this, I'll create a basic form. We have in the form action, equal, and method. That's our form. In the action part of it, make sure you use path. And the path we want actually is, let's do the method is post. And the path we want is actually, can be found here. That takes you direct, because you have to distinguish between the path, the URL, and the path in Symfony. The path in Symfony will take care of the URL and the controller. So you should find it in the routing. Here in the routing, we want this. This is the path for Symfony. That will create the path for the URL, or the path, the default for the contact. So that's the confusing part. It will be called path while we are actually referring to the controller. So don't be confused. That will be our path. Just to make sure I type the correct. Any error, any mistakes will do your head in. So I have input type equal and name equal. So I want the input type and the name. So copy that. So I will need one for the name, one for the subject, one for the email, and I need a text area. Name, we'll call it body. Here's our text. Here's our text area. Now this I'll call it, the name will be input type, we'll call it contact name, and the second input type I'll call it they all should be text. And here I'll call it email, and here I'll call it subject, and I have the body. So I have the 4 elements in the form, and I will need to create one more for the input type equal submit, and value equal submit, name equal submit. Now we have that in place, we have completed the form. And if we go to the pages controller, now what we need is basically we need a class. I'll copy it from here. This class is the request in the HTTP foundation in the component in Symfony. So this is very handy class, and I advise you to use it. So we go to the pages controller, because in that one we have used the form, the console to create everything for us automatically. So it included that. So take it from there and paste it here. You take the use side. Use. Now we have a class. It will be underlined with blue if you don't use it. So here we're gonna use it. Request and request, and this basically will enable us to use some magic. Normally, because we have used the post method, and in forms you can have the get method, we're not using the get method in here. So the name will be request get, and the key is we called it contact name. We'll just double check the spelling. And we have the subject, we have the email, and it is the same. Request get, and email. Let me just take that, copy it, save me typing another. So we put the email, the subject, again request, we call that subject, and body this just was check that we haven't made any errors. Case sensitive. How come? Okay, now we have the request body. This is for the post. If you're gonna use the get method, the only difference it will be querying instead of request in the middle. Now I have the four elements in the form, and I need the submit together for the submit button. Let's go if request get let's have the submit. We will do some code. So now we need to group some data that would render to the form. So data, I'll initiate it, I'll leave it empty. The reason for that, because that will be a default field. It will be something in the twig that you need to leave it empty if it's not used. Data equals, so I'll say thank you and the name I'll use for that now, just to check the form. You could use it like that, or you could use it in more elegant thank you name. We got everything, and yes, in the twig I need the data to be displayed, so the data will be array. Oh, wrong. Data, and that's the data. Now that's the array. It will be displayed. Now in the twig you will need to put a place for, let's do header 3 data. That's the data that will be retained from the controller. So have I got all the element in place? Let's test it. Okay, contact, that's the name, let's call it contact. Let's just do double sure, because sometimes I make stupid errors, and paste it. And let's check it in the web page. For the localhost, my localhost. Here it is. And it was contact us. Here you go. Here's the form. Bear in mind there's no labels, just basic. There's no styling in anything. If we type this is name, blah blah blah, it won't. Doesn't matter if you leave it empty or whatever. Now thank you name. This is the first part of the application. This is basically all the elements are working. Now we need to send an email. Now to send an email we'll use Swift Mailer. Swift Mailer is a very powerful element, very powerful. So by default, if you use the standard one, it should be already installed. If it's not installed, make sure it's enabled in your kernel. And now to create the to make it able to send mail, you will need to initiate the Swift message. So let's call it, and after it's submitted, let's call it message. It will be called Swift message, and new instance. That's set equal new instance. But because we're gonna carry on anyway, we don't need that. We're gonna set subject. We have set form, and and we have set from, and we have set to, and we have set body. Set body. Finished. After the body, that will be our last part of it. The subject we want is the subject. From will be from email, and to will be, you write your own email. Let's call it, for example, I'll use my personal email. And the body will be the body. Now all that is in place. Now this get, because it is a service, you can call it directly like that, mailer, send. Send will be the message. That's including the body, whatever you want in it. Now we have all the element included. Now one more thing that you'll have to do in here, which is I'm not going to show you, is here in the parameter you will find the mailer host, the mailer user, and the mailer password. Basically this is a very good not to use the nobody in your server. It's not very good for security, so you will have to have those elements to satisfy the mailer. So basically it will be your, for example, for that I will use, if you use the IP, it will be a lot better than using the host, even though the host will be transferred markets.com. That will be instead of the IP, and the user, I'll use my email, and the password I'm not going to show you here. And when you sort that out, it should be able to send. I'm going to change the password, so I will have to pause the video. Now I have paused the video, change the IP in the parameter, the password in the parameter section of it. So do that and save. So let's see what will happen if I type anything. Safwan, this is subject, this is email, my email at email.com. That's an example. Blah blah blah. This is the body. Let's submit it and let's hope there is no error. That should change to someone. Mailer. Okay, we have an error in the. Okay, I have an A, not in the A. Yep, that should fix it. Thank you so much. Let me go check my email. basically it's much more organized. Yeah, that's the last email I received. It's working. So basically, you understand, you have to do the parameters for the mailer Swift, and you initiate the Swift message new instance. That's all. Thanks for watching, and the next video will be creating the controller in the creating the form in the controller, and the video after that will be creating the form using the form type. Thanks for watching again, and see you in the next video.